Coming up on this edition of NICB News.
It's going to take years to recover from this.
We head out to the East Coast for an update on Sandy and tell you how thousands of cars are being crushed after the storm. Plus, we check in on storms of a different kind in Texas and what's being done to help consumers avoid being ripped off.
The first rule of war is to know the enemy.
And we'll let you in on a secret. There's one car that thieves really don't like to steal. That's all next on NICB News. It's been more than a month since Sandy hit the East Coast, and while much has been done, the recovery process is still mind-boggling. And the concern that victims of Sandy will be victimized again by fraud is an ongoing issue. That's why the National Insurance Crime Bureau and its member companies are working closely with law enforcement, regulators, and other officials to try to stop the fraud in its tracks. To date, we know that some 230,000 insured vehicles were damaged by Sandy, and making sure those vehicles are accounted for is a work in progress. This is a holding lot for new cars coming into the country to be sold through dealerships here in the U.S. It sits on the edge of the water in Brooklyn. When Sandy hit, the water here rose to about 40 to 45 inches, ruining all of these cars with an average sticker price of about $32,000 to $35,000. Total was in the millions.
And as you inspect these cars, besides the carpets and the seats being damp, you're looking at cup holders. The cup holders right now have about 3 or 4 inches of water. You'll see starting corrosion on some of the cigarette lighters, some water in the center console here. So there's many different things you'll see. What they can do over time, it'll dry out. Now we're several weeks after the storm, and you can see there's still a considerable amount of water within this car.
Vehicles throughout the region suffered damage and are now being towed to storage areas like this one at Belmont Park, where they are being loaded onto car carriers and hauled away to be crushed, sold for parts, or sold with a title that clearly indicates they were flooded. They're also being entered into the NICB's VinCheck database, which consumers can check before buying a used car. Unfortunately, some of those vehicles may make their way out of state, and unscrupulous dealers will try to clean them up and then sell them as if they were never damaged. So buyer beware. NICB has been working with the New York City Police and other law enforcement agencies in the area to investigate reports of towing companies taking cars off the street without permission and charging exorbitant fees to the owner or the insurance company. Bills of more than $2,000 have landed some towing companies in hot water.
We're working with the NYPD Auto Crime Division on a lot of these vehicles that need to be identified. We're also referring to them a lot of the issues we have with the egregious towing bills that we're seeing towing bills coming up of over $2,000, $2,300, which are far exceeding the Department of Consumer Affairs fees that are set here in New York City. So we're working with them on a lot of those issues.
In some areas, repairs are not an issue. Rebuilding may take years. But for those that are trying to rebuild, the issue of contractor fraud is a very real threat. Hundreds of contractors have swarmed into the area, and victims eager to get their lives back in order may be pressured to sign on the dotted line and hand over a down payment or an insurance check before work can begin or can be completed. NICB is working closely with insurance companies, law enforcement, and local officials to investigate potential contractor fraud and put an end to it.
It's going to take years to recover from this. And in some cases, you're going to see areas here in New York that they're never going to recover. They're never going to rebuild.
Texas is ground zero for hailstorms. Every year, hundreds of them strike the state, doing millions and millions of dollars worth of damage. Now, some people have come up with some creative ways to protect your property from hail, like this hail protector, an inflatable device that covers your car and protects it from damage. But protecting your roof or your home from fraudulent contractors after a storm, that takes some basic common sense. More than 300 people turned out at the Irving, Texas Convention Center last month to learn more about the hail problem in Texas and ways to limit the losses that have caused insurers to consistently lose money on homeowners policies in the Lone Star State.
As expected, hurricane losses have been big, with both Ike and Rita in the last 10 years. But hail is far and away the largest single cause of homeowners losses in Texas. Perhaps because hailstorms are not as newsworthy, hurricanes have received far more attention from regulators, insurers, consumers, and certainly the media, over the last 20 years. And one of our goals in hosting this symposium is to direct, that kind of intensive attention and laser focus to the hail peril.
Experts from the National Weather Service and research groups like the Institute for Business and Home Safety told the crowd that while you can't stop Mother Nature, you can institute stronger building standards that increase the use of hail-resistant materials on roofs and siding. They also agreed that the state needs to put licensing standards in place for contractors to help decrease the roofing repair fraud so frequently seen in Texas.
We actually had one contractor tell us that he had left a roofing company because they had a how to damage a roof and fool the adjuster class. And they actually gave everybody coins and had them come up on a roof panel up front here, and you each come on up and go ahead and do the mark, and you get a passing grade if it looks like hail, and you get a failing grade if it doesn't.
I think those good companies that are out there doing the good work will benefit from agencies like the NICB and the Texas Department of Insurance Fraud Unit and other law enforcement agencies that investigate insurance fraud by removing that element from the playing field. And that'll level the playing field so that those companies have a better chance of competing and doing their business. Because I think if you look at it, a company that's trying to do things the right way has a really difficult time and an uphill battle when you have a roofing contractor that's cheating and committing fraud.
The Toyota Prius is the most popular hybrid vehicle on America's roadways. Over 1.2 million of them sold in the U.S. alone. And here's the good news for Prius owners. An NICB analysis of thefts reported to the National Crime Information Center shows they aren't popular with car thieves. They have both an exceptionally low theft rate and a high recovery rate. Since 2000, there have been just over 2,400 of them stolen, with all but 80 recovered, making the Prius recovery rate an amazing 97%. Car thieves seldom take a day off, but if they do, it's Christmas Day. According to our annual holiday theft report, in 2011, New Year's Day was the leading official holiday for reported vehicle thefts, while Christmas Day repeated as the holiday with the fewest. In fact, Christmas Day was the lowest theft day of the entire year. Halloween may not be an official holiday, but it's scary for car owners with more thefts than New Year's Day. In case you're wondering, on a typical day, 2,055 vehicles were stolen across the U.S. By comparison, only 1,347 were ripped off on Christmas Day. The busiest day of the entire year was August 1st, with almost twice as many thefts as on Christmas. That's it for this edition of NICB News. We'll have another quarterly update for you in the spring. But remember, you can always keep up to date with what's going on in the world of insurance fraud and crime by logging onto our website at www.nicb.org or visiting our LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter pages, as well as viewing our YouTube channel and reading our blog at nicbblog.org. I'm Roger Morris. Thanks for watching.